We do have one guest. Haley, are you here for an application we're talking about tonight?
Yes, hi, I am. Do you want me to dial in later?
No, it's fine. Which application are you here for?
If you wouldn't mind scrolling down, I'm here for the solar application,
Okay,
under Ari's name. So right there, 6 and 7.
okay. We can rearrange things. We usually do that depending on if we have guests or not. So,
Well, my
um,
my other two partners are struggling to dial in, so no need to rearrange. Just
oh,
there.
all right, all right.
Maybe
Um,
they've gotten in. Brian Bear has gotten in, so it looks like we do have at least two people. So we could go whenever is convenient for you. But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no, that's okay. Um, we were probably going to stretch your application over 2 meetings. Um, I'm just making notes because I'm the secretary for the meeting, so I was just catching everybody's name. Um, we're gonna probably stretch it over 2 meetings because your application is gonna be in the development process for quite a long time. So, you got a number of different meetings to go through, so and I know one of our, board members, she lives across the street,
Great.
and
Yeah, we will certainly be attending quite a few meetings, and yep,
yeah,
we're more than happy to attend another meeting for the environmental board here. Not a
okay.
problem.
So, okay. Hi, Pat.
Hey,
We were just taking it slow, hopefully hoping that you could catch up with
yes,
us.
I found my way.
All righty. I am going to get started here. Let's see, introduction to guests. Our guests are here for one of the applications. Can I have a motion to approve April's minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. We have a privilege of the floor. If anybody would like to talk about something that is not already on our agenda. Okey-doke. Development Office. Mike, did you have anything extra that you would like to share from the Development Office?
Uh, it today's deadline day. We got a lot of stuff came in last night and probably coming in right now as we speak. So it looks like it's going to be another busy one. But I didn't see much on the agenda so far that might affect ECB. So we'll see. You
Okay,
know, it all depends when we do PRC if you're gonna want those recommended, but doesn't look too bad.
okay. Let's see, town board, I don't believe there's nothing current, but I'm sure they will be I think they have some local laws that might be coming through the pipeline, so we might have some referrals at some point for that. But nothing that I know of from the town board. Mike, did you have anything that you know of from the town board?
No, nothing.
Ready? Ordinance committee, they meet Monday and they're gonna be talking about accessory dwelling units. I'm doing the agenda later, so I don't have it in my head. Let me see. I can tell you what they're talking about. They're talking about accessory dwelling units, and a senior exemption. I believe that's from the assessor's office, and then there might be other things as well. So
Kim, what time do they meet?
they meet at 9 a.m.
Okay,
and that would be in the courtroom.
okay.
You can join in person or on Zoom.
Oh, Zoom, okay.
And we are to our referrals. We have a number of people here for the solar project. So if our guests from the solar project would like to give an introduction and describe the project, I'll bring up some documents while you're doing that.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. So my name is Haley Effler. I am the project development manager associated with this project. I have my colleagues here, Brian Baer of CNS and Ari Goldberg of Barclay Damon here as well. I'll turn the mic to them as appropriate. I'll just give a brief introduction on the project, and then I am going to turn it over to my colleague here, Brian Baer, to discuss more of the environmental side of the project. Seems like a fitting topic to discuss with this board. So brief overview. This is a community solar project. This is 4.95 megawatts AC. So this is a pretty small solar project in the scheme of solar projects. Our current limit of disturbance, including a very robust landscape screening and agrivoltaics plan, is 25 acres total. But the fenced in acreage is much smaller than that. The project itself is oriented as single access tracker. Thank you so much for pulling that up. We could probably just go down maybe one more page. Perfect. Yeah, that page is perfect. Thank you so much. So this is a single access tracker configuration, and that means the panels move with the sun. There's no battery energy storage associated with this project, so no concerns there. You see the access road comes in off of New Michigan Road. We have 5 or 6 overhead pole alignment for our POI that connects with that is aligned with our access road. The access road goes into our site for 2 equipment pads. One of the equipment pads features a well on site. As you may have heard, this project is interesting because this has a very robust agrivoltaics plan associated with it. As you know, we are seeking a public utility variance associated with this project, but we wanted to make sure that we caught and encompassed something that was really important to the township of Canandaigua, and that is agriculture. We understood that that was very important here, and we wanted to take that seriously. So normally on our sites, we just do sheep grazing as our maintenance activity on site, but here we're doing something a bit different. So throughout the growing season of the year, there will be broiler chickens, coon pigs, and sheep that are grown within the fenced area. They will be raised until they are ready for slaughter, and that cycle will be repeated for the entirety of the project's operation. To the north of the site, there will also be there is this area north of the pipeline here. We will use that for haying operations. Ideally, that hay can be used on site for our animals. Otherwise, it can be sold locally. As a part of our landscape screening plan, just so you know, we did provide an updated landscape screening plan to the town that is more robust. That was filed with Sarah. I'm not sure if it's not showing here, but it is with the town regardless. The landscape screening closest to New Michigan Road is actually an apple orchard. So those apples will be able to be fed to the animals on site by the shepherd. So the intent is dually there for landscape screening, but also for animal fodder. And that's a quick overview there. We've applied for interconnection with RG&E. That process is going really smoothly. There's capacity for us to interconnect here. This is a really great parcel for a solar project. If you'd like, we can certainly discuss the utility variance process for you here, if that is of interest to the group. Otherwise, I will turn it to my colleague Brian Baer of CNS to discuss some of the environmental studies and status of those studies for the project.
If you want to cover the use variances in the town are very uncommon, so it probably would help to hear at least a little bit about that.
Sure. Okay. After Brian gives his summary on the environmental analyses we've conducted to date and some of the results of those, we can certainly discuss the public utility variance process. So with that, Brian, I'll turn it to you.
All right, thanks, Haley. Yeah. So hi, everybody. My name is Brian Baer. I'm with CNS Engineers. We're the civil and environmental consultant for the project. And we've been working with Dimension Energy for 7 or 8 years or thereabouts. My specialty is environmental permitting, natural resources, that sort of thing. So typically for these solar projects, Dimension has us do quite a bit of environmental due diligence as it relates to these projects. The first thing they do is phase 1 environmental site assess to make sure that there aren't any issues with the site. And then we're going to get right into all the natural resource investigations. We do wetlands delineation, wetlands and waterways delineation. And what we found is that there's really very, very few potentially regulated resources on site. And the project, as currently proposed, is not going to be affecting any wetlands or waterways. We have submitted the wetlands report to the DEC, and the DEC has identified that wetlands on site are non-jurisdictional per state standards. So the only potential regulatory agency involved in wetlands on site would be the Corps of Engineers. And that's important because the DEC, as you probably all know, has a 100-foot buffer around their wetlands. And so for this situation, we don't have buffers that would apply to any of our wetlands. We submitted documentation to both the DEC and the Army Corps of Engineers and have requested a no permit required letter for the project. So these things do take some time, but we anticipate receiving that sometime in the next couple of months. We're not anticipating any issues there. We've also coordinated the project with the State Historic Preservation Office, the SHPO. And specifically as to whether or not the project could have any impacts to cultural resources, below ground resources, or above ground historic resources. And the SHPO has determined that there will be no adverse impact to cultural resources. And so we have that letter from the SHPO stating that. We are, obviously, it's an agricultural land. We're going to have to make sure that farmland is protected as much as possible. Haley and her team have really done a nice job with the agrivoltaics plan and kind of incorporating some farmland, some farming operations into the project. But regardless, we're going to have to coordinate the project, and we have coordinated the project with Ag and Markets to make sure that we're in compliance with all the requirements as it relates to agricultural districts. So that is also been submitted, and it's ongoing. We've also prepared a visual assessment study, and what we do is this project involves the first piece of this is to do a GIS model and identify where we think the project will likely be visible from. And so once we have that model established, then we have our visual resource experts traverse the site and take photographs of areas where the project may be visible, so that we can then bring those photographs into our computer software program back at the house and develop some photo simulations. These photo simulations are at scale. So basically what we're doing is creating renderings, I guess, before and after of what the project or what the area looks like today from these vantage points versus what it's going to look like after the project is completed. These things aren't invisible. And so in order to do our best to kind of mitigate or minimize potential impacts, we've developed, as Haley mentioned, a pretty comprehensive landscape plan. It is designed by a professional landscape architect, one of our in-house landscape architects. And so what we've done is we've chosen a combination of both evergreen and deciduous shrubs to help sort of soften the visual impacts of this project. We've picked native species, and we've also, like I said, picked a combination of deciduous and evergreen, so that realistically there'll be screening available year round. We have a limited amount of plants that we can choose from as it comes to, as it comes to these projects, because we also need to pick plants that aren't going to get too tall that would create shade. And so we're basically planting a mix of junipers, some nannyberry shrubs, some arrowwood, and some gray dogwood. And so all of those, are pretty common in the area. And we have about 50-foot established all the way around the project perimeter, consistent with code requirements. And so that's probably the bulk of the environmental work that we've completed. And so I don't know if anybody has any questions. I feel like I just talked for more than a minute, but be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
So I have a few questions. Oh, sorry, Kim, were you going to speak?
Nope, go right ahead.
So I guess in regards to I guess you guys had identified in your environmental assessment, I guess the ephemeral streams, they're not regulated or anything, but I noticed that they run right through, I guess, the red lines that are shown there through the center of the site. Are
Right,
those just swales from drainage tiles in the field, or are those
Those are-
natural features, or when you guys did your assessment?
Yeah, that's a good catch. Yeah, we identified those as ditches, not waterways. They are created, as a result of agricultural practices, and we feel as if they are not regulated by federal standards, certainly not by state standards as well.
Right.
So they are ephemeral in nature, meaning that they really only are going to pick up water during storm events. So yeah, we felt as if that was ditch was the correct term to use there. And obviously we'll make sure that we get that signed off on by the United States Army Corps of Engineers.
Yeah.
Anyways, yes.
Also with that, just, I mean, when you guys, did you have any photos of that? I didn't have a chance to go through all the documentation. There was no like daylighting of field drain tiles or anything that the previous, whatever they were farming out there where they had done the work. I know that they had mentioned that there was some drainage done in the field.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any drain tiles that were feeding these. There are photographs of the ephemeral swales. They're called
Okay.
ditches. I believe they're like ditch A, ditch B. Very clever
Yeah, it's
naming
like
there.
nothing.
But
It's
yeah,
like 0.04 acres.
right,
in there.
right, right.
And then
And
I guess,
realistically, the way that these things go, I mean, even if they were to become somehow regulated features, we would just make sure that there's no direct impacts to those that would impede flow, obviously that sort of thing. So, but yeah.
yeah, and then I guess on the outside of that, I mean, that land will continue obviously to be farmed. So, I mean, whatever's there has been there with the farmers going through it with the
Correct.
drainage. And it
Correct.
feeds into that. I'm guessing that wetland you guys delineated is just because of the drained water going there and it becoming a suitable habitat for whatever species of plants and critters that are.
Right. That little wetland over there in the corner, that's probably it would have been a real wetland if farming wasn't happening.
Right.
It's still there. We see soils and some plants, but realistically it's disturbed pretty frequently as a result of agricultural practices, right? So
Yeah, there's a lot of pockets of that over in that area.
Yeah, yeah,
So I mean, you can see them when you drive through or drive around the area.
we see that quite a bit. Yep.
And then, sorry, I had a couple more for you. And I guess
Sure. Yeah. No, I love talking about this.
So, so with the species you guys are going to plant for the buffer around the site, just a lot of them seem to be not so much fodder for the animals that you guys are going to be raising inside of it or whoever is raising them, but that screen is going to go around the entirety of the property, correct?
Correct.
And some of those
Yep.
species that you were listing, like the gray dogwoods, I mean, that's like
Yeah.
white-tailed deer, like super and stuff. Is there any consideration, because it's pretty highly trafficked road at high speeds? I mean, is there anything to do with planting all that stuff there and basically creating this food plot for the deer and the other critters and the through traffic that are going to be going by there? I mean, I know they exist in the area and those wetland areas, but it's just going to be a hedgerow there right next to the road.
Yeah, I mean it's if I had my preference, I'd probably put staghorn sumac or something along those lines. But every time I bring that up, especially in ag fields, I get shut down real quick.
Gonna get
And there really
Roundup.
aren't, there really aren't a lot of great options. I think that the deer will likely browse on those. I think you're right. If I typically only use the junipers,
Mhm.
quite a bit, but in this situation, we have a large area to cover, and so we also added in some deciduous shrubs, to help, and
Yeah, they're
also
great
just
species.
using, yeah, yeah. But it's a fair comment. It is.
And then I guess the last one, and I don't know, I guess who would field this, or if there's going to be further discussion on kind of the egg practices that you're going to have, I guess, under the solar panels. I did have a few questions or comments on that. I don't know who would field that.
I bet you Haley would be the best, but I mean, we might have to pass that one back and forth.
Okay.
But yeah, what are you
I don't
thinking?
know if I could butt in now or you wanted to continue on. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, fire away.
So I heard you say like you're gonna do the rotate. I mean, well, first, is it gonna be rotational within the boundaries of the site, or are you just gonna have these animals concentrated in certain areas under the panels, or how's that gonna work with inside the actual
So-
property we're gonna be doing it?
Yeah, I think that this is outlined in the agrivoltaics plan, but I'm pretty
Okay.
sure the
I'll read
animals.
through it. Sorry.
No,
I didn't
no,
get a
it's
chance to.
we hit you with an application that had 25 exhibits. I'm pretty sure it totals over 1,000 pages. I'm definitely not anticipating that everyone has read every single page. However, the details are in the agrivoltaics plan. If you
Mhm.
are interested in looking through it, I think that most of the animals, the pigs and the sheep, will have more free roam of the solar array. They will be fenced in into the solar array area, and they will also be fenced out of the equipment areas. So those two equipment pads that are here,
Okay.
because
That was one of my
obviously-
comments. Yeah.
yeah, they can't go in there. There will be a 4-foot fence that keeps them out of the equipment pad areas, but they will be fenced within the solar array themselves. We also have incorporated enough space between our solar panels and the fence itself to accommodate 2 chicken tractors.
Okay.
Those will be going around. I need to double check whether the chickens have free range at all times, but I know that the chickens will also be able to be in the panel area itself, but they will also they will live within the chicken tractors and be moved around.
Okay, yeah, because this brings me to my question about like what's going to happen with the erosion that's going to come from the hogs and basically the broiler chickens if they're not rotated, and pigs definitely have their favorite spots when they get out there and they're going to make mud holes and stuff, and I'm assuming that within the plan you're going to have some kind of way of addressing that through the duration or within the lease structure of who's farming the property, so that I guess that it doesn't make for bigger issues in the surrounding area.
Yeah.
I don't know how many hogs are going to be out there at a time, or chickens, or basically the amount of animals per space that you guys are trying to go for, but those can be considerable issues in the future if they're not maintained or properly observed.
Yep,
Yeah.
definitely hear your concerns there. I'd have to double check the agrivoltaics plan for the number within the fence line. I know United Agrivoltaic is our implementation partner for this. They would work with local shepherds to
Mhm.
actually implement the work, but they are the experts in this and would only stock the appropriate number of animals within the
Okay.
fence line so that we would be avoiding these issues. If we do have issues, we would be addressing it with them.
Yeah. Why
I
the-
also think it's worth noting that the chickens are going to be sort of in this tractor, right?
Yeah.
That sort of is
Yep.
covered and rotates around, right? So anyway, okay, all right.
Yeah, as long as someone's doing the daily or
Yeah.
every other day kind of thing, so you're not just getting these like giant
Right.
eroded spots
Yeah.
out. I mean, that's pretty common for what they would be doing, just moving on a daily
Yep.
thing, especially if there's someone there full time.
Yep. I don't know the frequency, but yeah, that's exactly what the plan says. Yep.
Yeah, my concern is the pigs, and just having grown up like with my grandfather raising them, and just how catastrophic they can turn an area into. That would be my
And
only
I don't
concern.
know much about pigs, and I'd be lying to you if I told you I did, but what I read is that these particular species are not really known
So it's in
to
the plan.
create much
I
of a
can read the
mess.
species then, sorry.
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
but that's
Sorry,
all
and
I know just from
I need
reading
to
it.
go through it
Yeah,
better, I guess, but just, some of the stuff that stuck right out to me.
yeah,
Yeah, they're not a very destructive species from my understanding. They
yeah,
were specifically chosen as a,
Okay.
I guess, for their temperament, for lack of better term,
yeah,
and their
yeah.
ability to be a good fit for a solar array.
So it sounds like heritage hogs of some type that are gonna
Yes,
be.
exactly.
Okay,
They're smaller. They're not a very,
Right.
they're not like your normal pig.
All right, so on a week from today, on the 8th, we're appearing before the Ag Advisory Committee. So we'll be, and I think our agrivoltaics consultant will be at that meeting with us. So we can bring up this exact same topic to them.
okay,
And then when we appear back in June, we can also relay it back to you, Justin.
all right, and then also, I guess they will be the leasing for, I guess, any kind of agricultural events that happen out there from your company? And then is it like a 25 lease or like an in perpetuity lease, or how do they do that with the farmers that'll be out there?
I would need to check with United Agrivoltaic on how they implement that lease structure with the individual farmers. That might be outlined in the agrivoltaics plan.
Okay.
It might not be. We ourselves have a lease with our landowner. The lease itself is we have a development term, then we have operation term. The operation term is typically 25 years with 2 options to extend.
Right.
I would need to double check how United Agrivoltaic manages their contracts, but I'm sure that they could speak to that during the May 8th meeting.
Yeah, I may sit into that. Sorry.
No, it's fine. You please, I would encourage you to also come to the May 8th meeting and ask Caleb directly. He's an expert on all these things. He's a great partner on our projects and
Okay.
could certainly speak to this more eloquently than I could.
What's been your experience with agrivoltaics prior to this project?
Yeah, so generally Dimension utilizes partners like United Agrivoltaic to have third-party shepherds come on site to use sheep for grazing purposes. So a little less intensive that we're proposing here. So sheep would temporarily, I jokingly call them the traveling sheep. There's a whole network of sheep farmers out there who kind of lease essentially their sheep to solar farmers. It's a really great opportunity for farmers who don't own their own land to still practice agriculture and still have a livestock flock without all of the commitments of maintaining land and paying taxes on their land and still being able to practice in agriculture in many of the traditional ways you would participate in agriculture. So we partner with United Agrivoltaic. They work with local shepherds to bring their sheep on, and they rotate the sheep throughout our project areas to eat the grass, which is always a meadow mix for us that's palatable for sheep and pollinator friendly. They eat that under the panel area. And then typically we do our own, like we'll have a third party operator do exterior maintenance. Unfortunately, sheep cannot use weed whackers yet. At least we haven't figured out how to train them to do so, but they're really great at maintaining the meadow mix under our panels. So that's traditionally what we've done with United Agrivoltaic on our more mature projects.
Is this the first multi-species project
For us, it would be. Yeah, this is definitely new for us. This is not new for United Agrivoltaics, though. United Agrivoltaics has done multiple projects like this already. So this is certainly not a new prospect. It's just new for us.
Yeah.
Which makes it exciting.
But there basically won't be any crops planted between rows. I mean, they do have those, but there will be no mechanical kind of planting of whatever.
No, the only planting that will be done will be like the apple orchard,
Yep.
as shown along New Michigan Road, and then the hay planting north of the pipeline, which we will be using for animals on site. We won't be doing inter-row planting. It'll just be a lot to maintain with the animals also there
Right,
full
right.
time.
Okay. Thank
They'll
you.
they would probably eat it all.
I had some questions, but did anybody else have questions?
I do not.
No, they pretty much covered the questions I had.
Okay.
No.
So I had a few.
Sure.
What is the noise level of you said the panels were movable panels that would track
So I
the
could probably jump in there, right? So typically when it comes to these projects, the things that are going to generally make noise would be the inverters. Okay. And so, Dimension usually does a really nice job at locating the inverters pretty central into the project. And so every time we do, a study or any kind of noise analysis, we often find that the noise at, at the edge of the array at the fence is minimal, and typically at the property line, it's negligible, right? So these are really actually pretty good neighbors, and tend not to, generate any kind of significant noise whatsoever. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm actually a neighbor. I'm here.
Oh. Oh, okay. Hi.
And one of our other ECB members is over here. So you do have people that are actually bordering you. So
Mm-hmm.
or near
Yeah,
to
these
it.
tend to be very, very good neighbors. They really, tend not to generate any noise. Haley, Haley, what's the equivalent typically? I've heard you say this several times. It's like, a quiet office or something is typically the equivalent what we see in decibels. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great comparison, Brian. So when you are looking at the noise level at the fence line for these projects, you're really looking at 35 to 40 dBA. That means nothing to a normal person because you're not looking at dBAs routinely. When you look at what that looks like on a chart, or if I were to show you a noise measuring app, I have one on my phone. I do this for meetings. If everyone sits in a quiet room and doesn't make a peep and there's no noise, that room will be 55 dBA. So it'll be very quiet at the fence line. What I really like about, and I've been in this industry for my whole career. I've been in renewable energy my entire career. I've done hydro, I've done wind, I've done large scale solar, I've done small scale solar, I've done transmission, I've done almost every form of renewable energy except hydrogen. What brought me to community solar is that I really enjoy how easy this is to microsite these on a single parcel of land, and it makes us a good neighbor. We're not taking up entire towns. We're situating our projects on one parcel. We're quiet. For this project, there will be more traffic because obviously someone has to take care of their animals, but generally speaking, there's very little foot traffic that comes into these sites once they're constructed and operated. They're static use. They're great neighbors to have once they're constructed. They're really quiet. And once they're there, people generally don't mind that they're there. It's a really nice use to have once it's there. If I could tell you this, if I could put one in my backyard, I would have no problem with it.
And all the neighbors get a free broiler, right, every year?
Honestly, I would, I have no problem with it.
I can tell you.
I live in Syracuse, and you can guarantee that if I will probably be coming to get some meat from this probably if I can figure out a way to do so. So
I can tell you that there are resident deer because I have
yes.
deer that live at my place. There is a lot of dogwood, and while they do browse, it's not overly destructive on the wild dogwoods. I've got silky dogwood, gray dogwood, and red osier scattered throughout the property, and those were just what grew naturally. So there is browse, so I don't think they'd be harsh on your shrubbery once it's established. So but that kind of has a question for me. I've seen a lot of solar installations where there's a lot of dead trees, dead shrubs around their perimeter, and it seems to stay that way for a long time. Is there like some sort of care and maintenance for your vegetative buffer that's planned?
Generally speaking, we do have an operations and maintenance plan. I think these trees are guaranteed for a year or so after planting. Is that correct, Brian?
Depends on, yeah, but typically, yeah, 6 months to a year.
6 months to a year.
Yeah.
So if they die during that time frame, they'll be replaced. Certainly, if the town had an issue with how anything looked, you could definitely bring it to our attention. Let us know.
I just thought I would ask because I mean, I've seen them where there's you know, it's completely dead border around it. So,
Yeah.
it is a concern.
Yeah, I definitely hear that concern. If that were to happen at this project, please just let us know. You know, we do inspect our sites at least annually to make sure everything looks correct. You know, per our O&M report, we do have remote monitoring. We do look at our projects 24/7 from a functional standpoint, but that doesn't mean there isn't a way to remotely monitor our plants, for instance, right? So if there,
Understood. But
yeah. So like we're looking at like the technical performance of the project as opposed to like there aren't cameras all over the place. There's no lighting either. So that's another thing that makes this a great neighbor, right? There's not lights. It's kind of like a quiet use. But if there was ever an issue where like a lot of the landscaping had passed, like had died and it looked bad, you could just let us know and we would work with another like an O&M contractor to replace those.
To that response, you know, the exhibit 11 to the application is an operations and maintenance plan, and within that is a vegetation management plan.
okay.
The secondary thing to note is Dimension is an owner operator. So often you're getting an applicant who comes in, gets their approval, and they end up not owning the actual array or asset once it's constructed. So there is that, maybe something gets lost in translation then between site plan approval and the eventual operations. To use Haley's term, you're stuck with Dimension. So there is that advantage where you know they're going to be more aware and cognizant of the landscaping and any sort of conditions on approval governing maintenance of that landscaping. So hopefully that gives you comfort that this isn't the standard operation where you get the developer and then you can never find them again. This is Dimension's asset and they'll be maintaining it throughout.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point, Ari. Dimension, and that's another thing that sets us apart. As Ari mentioned, we are an owner operator. That's another reason I came to Dimension over many other community solar developers in this space. It was very important to me that I worked for an owner operator of assets as opposed to a company that only permitted and entitled their assets and then sold them to the highest bidder. We take really, really great pride in how our projects are designed, how they're permitted, and then how they're constructed and operated. We're here, as Ari hears me say this ad nauseum, you're stuck with me, as he said it. You know, we take really great pride in how our projects look and operate in their landscape. We care about what people think about our projects, and we're here for the life of the project. So you're always going to have a point of continuity in terms of contacting us. So if there's ever something that looks awry that we're not addressing, you could always just let us know. You'll be able to contact us.
Okay. I know that the animals are used for vegetation control under the panels. If at some point it becomes more cost effective just to have people with lawnmowers, are you going to switch from the agricultural model to that? Or is this agricultural model to stay?
This agriculture model is here to stay. This is a part
Okay.
of the proposed use of the project. I met with Sarah in August to discuss this project. She told me, and we had a very frank discussion about how important agriculture is to the town of Canandaigua. I take that seriously. This is here to stay for the project.
Okay. Because there is town code that doesn't allow solar to replace
Correct.
agriculture. So
Correct.
Nope,
I very much hear, and Ari will get to speaking about the variance too. I very much understand the importance of agriculture to Canandaigua. I understand that solar of this size is not allowed in the R2 district. And I wanted to propose a project on land we leased that would be compatible with Canandaigua's desires and interests while also meeting our desires and interests. It wouldn't be ethical for me to get this thing entitled and permitted with you with an agrivoltaics plan and then 5 years later change that plan to have it be mowing. So nope, the plan is to keep it agricultural in nature.
I have heard about other solar projects because I'm actually the secretary for the Ag Committee, so you'll see me again.
We'll be seeing a lot of each other.
Yes, but in some of those, they were just used as vegetation control. So if it really became a cost issue, they would change it out.
Yeah,
So,
and you know, if we needed to change one of the animal types due to, you know, God forbid, like there's an animal illness, right? Like, you
yeah.
know, we may not be able to have chickens one year due to some avian flu, right? Like we may have to make amendments because of things like that, but we wouldn't change the nature of the, you know, the intent of the agrivoltaics plan,
Okay.
right? We would have to make like maybe yearly modifications if something tragic like that happens to a species, but the intent is to keep it agricultural. I know how important that is to Canandaigua, and I wouldn't give you a bait and switch that way.
How long has your agrivoltaic partner been doing this?
That's a great question. I don't know off the top of my head. I apologize. This is Caleb is has been in agriculture his, I think, pretty much his whole life. This is very important to him. I would gather quite a while, but I couldn't tell you how many years. I know he works with a lot of solar developers.
Gary, I saw him give a presentation for a different solar project to the Ag Committee in 2022.
Okay.
So it's at least that long.
For a while. Great.
The last thing I had was, I believe at the PRC meeting, you had spoken about drilling a well on the
Mhm.
property.
That's correct.
The lady that lives across the street, our missing board member tonight, she has mentioned, because there was another project that wanted to put a commercial thing just down from her, that the aquifer is marginal.
Okay.
So that may be a concern, drawing that much water for animals as well as residents also drawing off the same aquifer.
Okay.
So
That's good to know.
Yeah.
We'll keep that in mind. The sheep don't need the water. I've learned that through Caleb, actually. They get enough water through their fodder, which is really cool. I learned that through that. But be more so for the chicken and the pigs.
Yes.
But if we need to bring water in from off-site, that's certainly something we can discuss.
It's just, I know that was an issue for a different project, across the street and down just a little ways.
Okay.
So,
Thank you for bringing that to my
yep.
attention. I appreciate it.
mhm. Did anyone else have any questions tonight? I think we've run out of questions tonight.
That's fine. We welcome questions. Ari, do you want to give a quick overview on the public utility variance?
Yeah, absolutely. Do participants have the ability to, can I share my screen? Would that be okay?
I can make you a co-host. 1 second.
I'm honored.
Let's see. And I will stop my share.
Okay.
There you go.
Excellent. I have it now. Let me just pull this up. Okay, everyone can see my PDF screen here. I'm gonna switch over real quick just to, this might have been a mistake on my uploading the cloud permit. This is the revised site plan showing some additional screening and everything. It's in cloud permit now, and you can see we did add, just to tie it to the initial conversation, we did add a little bit more of the ring around the entirety of the array, and that was how we interpreted the required buffer that came up at our PRC meeting.
I will make a comment about that. The
Yeah.
New Michigan Road is a higher elevation than back farther into the farm fields. So your buffer on the, I guess that's the east side, is actually important too. So
Okay, that's helpful to note. And we figured, you know, our view of this, and I think you'll see this in my presentation about the use variances, this is a very iterative process, especially with the amount of committees in the town. So this is, we've already responded with one landscape revision. We imagine as we go through more of the boards, there might be even more versions of this. And so your comment's very helpful as well. So to the public utility use variance, what we started off with our submittal was an omnibus site plan and public utility use variance application. Solar this is a ground mounted tier 3 solar energy system as defined by the town zoning law, and it's not permitted on AR2 zone property in the town. So that's why we needed a use variance. And traditionally, use variances are granted or reviewed based upon a 4-element test set forth in New York State town law. However, there's been some recent changes from courts across New York State about how use variances are reviewed for solar projects. This law all sort of started with nuclear power in Consolidated Edison against Hoffman, and then it's slowly been applied. This public utility standard, I'll explain more. It's slowly been applied to other uses that are considered essential, that provide essential services to the community. So, for example, I mentioned nuclear power. Then it went to telecommunications towers, and then wind and renewables. And it's pretty clear that the provision of electricity is an essential service. So as a result, as recently as earlier this year, you've seen one in Erie County, Oswego County, and then the third department, that's the second level of courts in New York, they've determined that solar is providing electricity, that essential electrical service, and is therefore a public utility for purposes of reviewing variance applications. And what that means is instead of the traditional 4-element test, you go with a relaxed standard that's only 2 elements. You have to demonstrate that the solar array here would be a public necessity, and that there are compelling reasons that make it feasible to use this property instead of an alternate location. And we went through in great detail, both in our cover letter to our omnibus submission, as well as 2 separate exhibits, Exhibit 16, about some of those compelling reasons and how we meet this 2-element test. And I think one thing to point out is, so why is the solar array necessary? Well, it generates electricity, which is obviously a necessary service, but importantly, it also furthers the state and federal goals for renewable energy. This was a key element in one of the most recent court decisions, saying that the CLCPA, the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, state law in New York, is a forward-thinking, ever-evolving standard for renewables in the state. It's also part of why we think there are compelling reasons that there are no existing viable alternatives. It's really hard to find a piece of land that fits for solar. You have a lot of landowners who are simply not interested in hosting the array on their property. And you also need required infrastructure. That's existing 3-phase lines and the ability to interconnect to that system. And of course, capacity, as Haley mentioned, at a substation. So we have some of those elements there. So I'm going to jump down to the site selection exhibit within our submittal package. And what it does is it again goes through New York State energy goals. It again goes through some of those compelling reasons to grant the variance and why we need the array here. But really key too is also an affidavit sworn to by Haley as project development manager. And it sort of starts with this: why is it so hard to find a good piece of property for an array? You know, there's a lot of concern that loss of agricultural land across the state is because of solar arrays or other developments. But in fact, you can't site an array just anywhere. Like I said, you need that existing infrastructure, you need good topography. And obviously, we don't want to clear a substantial amount of trees, don't want to intrude on wetlands, which part of what makes existing agricultural sites attractive is they're already cleared. We know they're being used. And chances are they don't have significant wetlands because they've been used over the course of many years. I want to focus real quick on how Dimension sort of arrived at this particular property. So what they did, imagine a triangle upside down for this part. They start very broad. Dimension identified all parcels of land greater than 20 acres in size, adjacent to or within 0.1 miles of this RG&E distribution line that had capacity to host their array. And we identified, I think 104 parcels. So this pink line is that distribution line. That's where there's capacity to host array. And these are all the parcels. 104 parcels are greater than 20 acres near that line or adjacent to it. if we go down from that 104, we eliminated a few parcels that had bodies of water, significant slopes, wells, pipelines, that had the potential to eliminate significant contiguous building area such that we couldn't use that property. And the result was 30 parcels were eliminated and we went down to 74, including, a spoiler alert, our property is still in here. So then from the 74 parcels, took another eliminated 20 because they weren't actually in the town. We started with the county. So you can see we overlaid the town zoning map to help sort of preview that a lot of these parcels just fell just to the west of the town. From there, went to wetlands data to determine what kind of property would work. 5 parcels were then eliminated, and that left us with 49 parcels, including the site, which is right here. The next was 47 of those parcels of the 49 that remained were all in that AR zone where this is not permitted. 2 parcels, just 2, were zoned industrial where solar array is permitted by special use permit. And that's where we ended up investigating each one specifically. I'll start, this one on the left is very irregular shaped. I think this portion right here where you're seeing my cursor is actually owned by the town, and there's an odd ditch or stream running right here. Difficult to develop that site. And then this other one at one point was proposed for self-storage. I actually think one of the applicants that I saw on the agenda was part of the person who was proposing that development there at one point. So we had eliminated both of those parcels, given the difficulty in developing. And then what we were left with of the 47 parcels, we selected an initial set of 6 for outreach to landowners, and Miss Taylor, the owner of our land, responded, and she was very receptive to hosting a solar array, and that's what led us to further explore this property. So we went from 104 down to 1, and that's how we determined that there was an extremely compelling reason to, eventually, as we'll argue to the Zoning Board of Appeals, a compelling reason to grant the use variance because we found a parcel that works. And there really, in our view at least, aren't that many parcels in the town that will work. That's part of the reasons for the use variance. You see, it's definitely not traditional the way it works. We're not proving reasonable return or self-created hardship. Those are some of the traditional elements of use variance. It's all about public necessity and compelling reasons. I think maybe the last thing that's important, and I think this puts a nice bow on the conversation we've already had here, is under the public utility variance standard, where the intrusion or burden on the community is minimal, the applicant's showing of compelling reasons is sort of correspondingly diminished. And as we've shown, we've been very attentive to some of the unique needs and features of the town of Canandaigua. We've maintained agriculture to a large extent on the property. This is a very robust landscaping package. There's going to be, this part's still going to be used for a hayfield, and then the inclusion of the pigs and chickens and sheep on the property, as well as the orchard. So, Dimension's done a good job, and Brian and his team on the design as well, just being attentive and minimizing the community intrusion, because this is a unique use for this area. It's not specifically permitted under the zoning code, but we do think it's a good use of the property. We have a willing landowner. We have a unique situation where we're able to blend both agriculture and a modern use in solar. So that was probably a lot to digest, and there's a lot of uniqueness about the use variance in and of itself. So happy to clarify anything or answer more questions as this board needs.
But this will impact positively on people's electric bills. Is that correct?
Yeah, it does. So the way it's a community solar, so I think the term that's often used is off-takers, and it's still through the billing wouldn't change. It's still all through RG&E. But if an individual signs up to sort of credit themselves with using electricity generated by the solar array, their savings then passed on through their utility bill.
Yep, that's correct, Ari. So people have the opportunity to subscribe to local projects such as this. You probably receive mailers for these frequently. You see them from companies like Nexamp, who is similar to us. And usually you'll see the letter, and you'll see in the letter it's through your local utility. So in this case, RG&E. And with that letter, it'll say you'll save 10% on your electricity bill because you're buying renewable energy credits through your utility because they're coming from our project. So no changes to your utilities. You don't have to like change your, no changes to wiring or anything. It's just, renewable energy credits applied to your bill.
Any questions from anyone?
So, there might be more. The use variance isn't, of course, the only approval we're going for. I think it's the planning board is serving as lead agency to conduct a type 1 coordinated state environmental quality review act review. That's the highest level of secret review available under that law. We provided, as part of our application, it was pretty robust submittal, but we also provided a proposed list of involved and interested agencies to ensure that no stone is left unturned in that secret review, giving the planning board an opportunity to take that hard look. We have to go for site plan approval with the planning board as well. And of course, I think we're predicting 2 or so meetings with the zoning board itself, including a public hearing. And then the last thing I want to say is I know that it was brought up that some of the members of this board are area residents. One of the exhibits, Exhibit 14 to our submittal, is an expert report by our accounting friends over at Cohn Resnick, where they investigated other existing solar arrays in rural areas across New York State and other parts of the country to determine whether adjacent property values were impacted negatively. The conclusion of that analysis was that there is no significant negative impact on property values, just being proximate to a solar array. Now, it's just another active use of the parcel. It doesn't negatively impact our neighbors' property values. And I know all this information is available on Cloud Permit, but to the extent that anyone would like a separate direct link to the entirety of this submittal, just let me know. I'd be happy to share it. It's publicly accessible and everything.
Okay, our board has access to all of the
Okay, great.
Cloud Permit documents.
Cloud Permit was new for me. Sounds like you guys are familiar and comfortable with it. So
We've been using it for a bit now.
yeah, I like it. I'm getting there with it.
It's better than the paper process we used to have.
I don't
disagree with that.
think you'd want paper versions of this application. It would be pretty big.
No.
It's a lot easier to maneuver in PDF.
Yep. Sometimes we joke about a separate secret review just for the number of paper copies we have to print. My record is 62 full-size subdivision plat maps for a town in Western New York that will remain nameless.
So.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for your time and letting us present so much. I know we've answered some questions. If there's any further questions, we're happy to answer them. We can obviously plan to attend the next environmental review board as well, if that would be helpful.
I believe so. We'll definitely have it on our agenda for the next month.
Okay.
And so you're definitely welcome to attend if you would like.
That sounds great. We've got a bunch of meetings in between that, so maybe we'll give some positive updates for the board, and if there's any site plan revisions, we'll go through those as well.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right,
Thanks for
thank
the
you so
time,
much
everyone.
for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the details.
Yes,
Yeah,
of
thank
course.
you very much.
Thanks. Good night.
Let me get my share going back here. Alrighty.
I hope they have a stash of solar panels somewhere.
Yeah.
But that's
Right.
going to be a challenge moving forward.
Hmm.
I think so.
There's got to be some serious tax credits for this too, so that's got to be an incentive.
Yeah.
I know from having listened to other solar developers present, they do get tax credits, and it makes it profitable for them to do it in New York State, where it wouldn't probably be otherwise.
Mhm.
Yeah. I have a solar farm right down here on Monk's Road that, and they do a pretty good job when trees, some of the trees that they planted died, they replaced them and
Good.
they're doing a pretty good job of maintaining it. And the only thing I can say is that I can see it from my house and it's like 2 miles from, only during the winter, but it's not a distraction. It's just, it makes, you're just aware of it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that was a topic when we reviewed that project up there. Just
Uh,
how viewable it was and how much shine and everything else that comes with it.
Yeah, like when you come down 21 from Naples, you can see it. It stands out pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
No, I like the dual use that they're proposing. That makes it a lot better and kind of keeps
Yeah.
with what the actual land is and
Yeah.
what we want it to be. So
This is,
I hope it all works out. This is
yeah.
stuff I wanted to do on my property, but I couldn't get the setup with the electrical.
It's kind of it's a modest size too. It's not humongous. The 4 megawatts. I mean, big, but not ridiculously big.
Yeah.
I will say though, the Brock Acres farms that, and they're one of the PDR farms that's in this part of the town.
Yeah.
And so that will be land that they lose because they were leasing the land to work. So that is definitely a negative for that. So alrighty. We have Mike. Did you know about this project for the steps?
1880.
Yep.
This is the the like party palace
Event
that they want
space.
to build back there.
Yep.
Yeah, the event space. I think Kristen reviewed this one, but I've heard talk about it. I think they're doing it behind Stella's is the plan so far. That's all I know about it. Not much.
It says this is the retail building, so I know this is the existing one.
I know a
Also,
little bit about it.
Go
Since
ahead,
the
Pat.
map looks familiar to me. And Anthony told me a couple things to say, okay?
Okay.
So, at the time when the building was redone, the new Stella's, when that building was redone, Anthony said that there was a stormwater management was approved for that building, and there was going to be, I guess, an additional building at least at the time of approval. And he said they installed the full stormwater management that was approved at the time. What do you think about that comment, Mike? And then he said that they're going to save the landscape buffer to the west. That must be where all those pine trees are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then he
Yes.
said, well, the stormwater management, and there was previous parking that was approved. So the other parking is like what would be like right next to the new proposed event building.
So is that the tan?
Sarah has been working on this too. Our Sarah Reynolds with Sarah Janeco, the property owner too. She's been. What did you want to ask, Kim?
So are the tan parking spots, is that existing or those?
Yeah, those are there.
Okay, those are
But
existing.
Anthony did a count, so where you can see in each area, I can't, it's tiny for me on the
Yeah,
screen,
it
but
is small.
I think he counted up parking spaces based per section. Can you guys see that?
What am I looking for? I'm sorry.
Just the count of the parking spaces, that's all I was talking about. Like if you could zoom in on where those are,
Sure.
you can know how many, that's the count. There's a lot of parking around the whole area. See, like it'll say 14, 12, 12.
Oh, okay, I got you.
13, like in the little circles, that's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
how many
yeah.
spots are in that section.
Hmm.
And he's got a stormwater right in the corner there, a stormwater retention area.
I looked at the ZLD and it had talked about a 75-foot buffer. It was open landscaped area. I assume that's this area? Maybe?
Could be, that's 75 feet, looks like.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he's got proposed evergreen buffer, okay.
Um,
But he said there was something to the west that is being, what was he said? Let's see. Saving landscape buffer to the west. So there must be, that could possibly be what he's talking about.
okay.
We could look at it on the, Encore so you can
Sure.
actually see the,
I
Yeah.
noticed in the ZLD, they talked about requirements of having shade trees in the
Mhm.
parking lot. And
I
So
don't
I did-
think there was a landscape plan done yet. I'm not sure. I don't think there is.
okay. I would
Not at this point, anyway.
suggest that because
Yeah,
if I saw it in the ZLD, the planning board certainly will.
yeah,
So it would be nice to have it does make your parking lot more comfortable because it will make it give you some shade there.
yeah.
And one of the things I had an idea for this is if you put in some like some of the native small trees and shrubs that bloom, it can
Mhm.
be it can kind of amp up the beauty and appeal there. And you'll have some
Yes.
color probably in the fall too. And if
Yeah.
you're using that for wedding, you might get people taking pictures and stuff there. So there would be
Yeah.
kind of a double benefit to putting some of that in. Let me finish getting Encore. Unfortunately, I can't talk and do Encore at the same time. Did anyone else have any comments there?
What exactly, is this gonna be a wedding venue?
Yeah, like a wedding venue, I think, yeah. Some sort of, like,
Seems like an odd location for a wedding venue.
well, I think they had the land and they were trying to come up with an idea and
Hmm.
putting it out there that they would like to do that. I don't know what's in that part of town.
Oh, 332.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna be looking at the trailer park right across the street.
Yeah, that's coming in, and the phase 1 is gonna start, right?
So,
That's why you need to plant trees.
exactly. So, they may want to plant more trees and shrubs than they would have otherwise needed.
Yeah,
Hopefully native. But you can really put some really beautiful things in there. I
oh,
mean,
sure.
look around right now at all the things blooming and
Yeah, great time of year right now.
it is. Unless you're an allergy sufferer or something.
Yeah, that's true.
No
That's true.
Bradford pears, no Bradford pears.
No Bradford pears, definitely. So, but yeah, your dogwoods and your red buds and your service berries and you got a lot of viburnums and different things. You can really
Mhm.
make a
Mhm.
pretty space there. So
You're gonna get a nice succession of blooms with some of those plants, so you get something
exactly.
blooming, something blooming, every week or so.
Yep. And I think that would feed into their wanting it to be a wedding space or
Yeah,
an event space, so.
yeah.
Variegated leaves or colored
Yep.
leaves.
So I didn't have a lot of comments other than, like I said, I saw in the CLD that it was looking for shade trees with the parking
okay.
lot, so
Mhm.
I think they're going to want to have that landscaping plan
Right,
moving
right.
forward. And
Will those comments be in the cloud or will they be through the planning board meeting? How does that typically go?
we generally make comments,
We
so
make comments and then they go ahead and pass it along
yeah,
from planning board, right?
yeah, it goes to the planning board.
Yep,
And the planning board has been looking at our comments with great favor. So
well, that's
um
good.
so if we say definitely submit a landscape plan, suggest, and I try and make the wording like I suggest, because it isn't going to be a requirement here, but I would suggest strongly some additional plantings
Right,
and like trees, some of the shade trees around the place,
right.
and add to that evergreen buffer some of the um a succession of blooming shrubs and other plants. I think it would help the appeal and definitely benefit wildlife. So
Yeah,
um,
okay. I'll pass that along.
dark sky compliant lighting, because I'm sure they're going to put in some
Yeah, yeah,
additional lighting.
it probably will be.
Anybody else have any comments?
Nothing here.
No.
I thought it was already a commercial space, so
Yeah, that's the
having some
zoning of it, I guess, so, right? That's in
having some other
commercial.
things in a commercial space, I was like,
Yeah,
Yeah, you gotta look, I guess it depends on the neighbors too. If the neighbors put up a big fight about it, that might be an issue too.
right.
but
Other than that, it
definitely,
is a commercial area, so.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it is. Yeah,
and some of the extra buffering around planting some other things might help with some neighbor,
right,
feelings as well.
right. Okay.
Any other comments?
Nope.
Alrighty, we will move along. Did you have any other questions or comments, Pat?
No,
Okay. We have Purdy Road, which is up in that same corner.
yeah, right across the street.
Mike, did you have anything to share on this one?
No, that's another Kristen one. I did not do anything on this one. I didn't even get a chance to review it.
We need to invite Kristen to our meetings.
That poor girl does enough.
Well, we don't want her to feel like we don't want to see her.
So I've heard this one, different portions of it at the planning board. It seems like it's a fine project for the area because they already have houses over there.
Yeah,
It's already an established trailer park area anyways.
yeah,
Correct.
And
So,
I mean, the only thing is they're using farmland to build it, so I don't know about that.
but I think this has been established for quite some time, so
Yeah, they did have approvals back in August of last year.
yeah, preliminary, yeah.
Yeah, I think we just had comments at that time too on just adding greenery and stuff like that and the potential for open spaces.
yeah.
Yeah, it looked like the site plan, they had a lot of plantings and they were a lot of trees and so they.
Yeah,
Got some
they
natives
had,
in there too.
I saw they had flowering dogwood and redbud and white
Oh, swamp
spruce, blue
milkweed and stuff,
spruce.
right?
Mhm.
That's all nice. They had elderberry, buttonbush, maple leaf viburnum, hazelnut, and bayberry. Those are all nice native
Yeah, they'll be
things.
pretty in, well, all seasons basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess
Mm.
just with the other property across the street, I mean, if they can not work together, but just understanding that they're developing, if they can screen each other out even better.
Correct. Yeah. I saw that they had some, like Joe Pie and swamp milkweed. And
Yeah,
date
it's
lemon.
great that they have that stuff in there for
There's
all the
stormwater.
little critters.
What I would say is with their stormwater, they're gonna wanna watch for the Phragmites because it will overtake all of these plantings.
Mhm.
So they'll definitely wanna keep on top of that.
Did they
I
have a
hate
maintenance plan or
Phragmites.
anything, or no?
What's that?
There's no maintenance plan or anything, right? That was part of it.
I I don't know. There's usually a lot of notes in some of these site
Yeah.
plans, and I don't go through all of those, so. But I will make a comment about, because Phragmites is like just rampaging through all of our wet places around. So they're definitely gonna have to keep an eye open for that and, take care of it as they see it, because it will overrun
I'm sad to
everything.
say it's better than not we.
Eh. Although it's, you see it everywhere too, I'm
Yeah.
sure, so. But I really didn't have a lot of comments. It looks like, they've got some vegetation, some bushes and stuff
Mhm.
scattered around.
Mhm.
I don't
You're right,
know.
at Purdy Road, they have looks like some nice plantings, ideas in place there.
Yeah,
Quite a few.
the other section of the trailer park further up Purdy Road looked really pretty nice. We didn't drive through it, but we,
Yeah.
turned around there and looked in, and it looked like it was pretty clean and
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
I mean,
Looks like a well-maintained, community.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and it's gonna offer some lower
It
income
will, it
housing.
will.
It's important. That's important.
It's our defined growth node, one of the growth nodes. So.
It is.
Yep. I believe in one of the older sections, John Robatello used to be the secretary for ECB. He lives
Yeah.
there. He loves
Yeah,
it.
he does, yeah.
So, I think it's a good place for people to get a house. And
Yeah.
hopefully it be,
I bet it'll fill quickly.
I would imagine.
There's so much demand for our area.
So I like the fact that it's more accessible for people. There's houses like Pierce Brook and stuff are just not accessible for people.
Yeah, as long as these are
No.
under 600,000,
I was gonna
Yeah.
say,
That's
I couldn't
really
even sell
Might
my,
have a
something.
chance.
I couldn't even sell my place and buy one of those.
Yeah.
And then you got homeowners association fees on top of that.
Mhm.
You do.
So I'm fine with the plan as proposed.
Yeah,
Mhm. Me too.
But
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Perfect. We will move along. Sammy's Way. Do you know that one, Mike?
That is actually one of mine. So this person wanted to put in an addition on the front of the house. If you look at it on Encore, you'll see the issue they have.
Okay.
They wanted a single car garage addition to the front of the house. Well, that's all they were asking for a little front setback variance. They didn't even give me any numbers, so I had to contact them constantly. But then I looked at their property, and they are already 20% over in lot coverage, and it is a development, but it's a development that has a lot coverage amount.
Mhm.
So I finally got in touch with them. I said, if you want this, you need 23% lot coverage variance. And they were like, what? I said, you are so far over. They said, why? I said, did you ever include your pool in any of this? Oh, we didn't permit that pool. I was like, okay.
Oh, they just
So-
put it in?
Yeah, so look at that. They want to put a garage on the front of the
Yeah.
house there, going like right on the front. For a
They
single
already
car
got two,
garage.
there's already two garages
Yeah.
there.
I know
It's
that's what it
really-
looks like, right? And that's what I
It's
said. They
very
said, "Oh,
odd.
no, those are just rooms." I said, "Well,
Why?
where are you gonna put this garage?"
With an
So
overhead door?
yeah, so everything there is already at 22% over, and they by adding that garage is going to be 23% over. So I said, you might want to think about that. They're like, no, we want to do it. It's okay.
I have a comment.
Go for
Yes.
Well, my comment is, this is a relatively newer subdivision,
Yeah.
and I think this is the first homeowner that is requesting a bump out in the front of their house,
Right.
which will put the structure closer to the right-of-way line,
Mm-hmm.
which is it's kind of if the zoning board would allow that,
That's a
my
bad
only thing
precedent.
is it could set a precedent
Yeah.
for other people to want to do what these folks are doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's
agree.
my main comment, is that would it be something zoning board would consider if they're like the first ones in the neighborhood that are
That's one of the
doing
questions that
this
they
sort of thing, you know?
one of the things they always bring up at the zoning board is, will this look out of character for the neighborhood?
Yeah.
And most of the time it's like, no, everybody else is doing it. In this case, they're going to look at that and go, no one else is doing
Yeah.
this. You really shouldn't do that. So
Yeah, that's a zoning concern. I mean, that's for them to decide, but they would be the first ones in that section anyway, you know?
Not a good precedent.
That's my
Yeah.
comment.
So the lot coverage restriction is it within the subdivision, they have a
yeah, this
lot?
is part
Okay.
of
I see.
oh, I forget what it is, Lakewood Meadows, or
Yeah, it is.
is that what it is, Pat? 'Cause-
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and they have their own set of rules for each subdivision, and this one, we didn't notice it. All of a sudden, this one pops up, and we go, this one has a lot coverage percentage, and which is unusual, except unless you're in the RLD. So
Hmm.
that's
Can
why.
Can you tell now, so the pool went in, no pool permit.
The pool went
Right.
in 1997 or 98, I believe. And
I didn't realize the subdivision was.
oh no, I'm sorry. No. That was another one I'm thinking of. It was 2006. So they
Because you can go on Encore, you can go all the way back to 06 with the
Mhm.
photos.
oh, that's right.
And you can see when this happened.
Well, it wasn't 06 then.
That was that was when this was all. So you could tell when it was done, but I think we've always had pool permit.
Oh yeah, you're supposed to. That's the
And
thing.
I would
but
think that a pool installer would know that.
exactly. So when
So
So how
sometime,
did that happen, I wonder, you
She-
know?
sometime between 2006 and 2009.
So
yeah, so
Hmm.
I mean, the homeowner brought it to my attention. She goes, "Oh, we needed a permit, and we have to add that in." I was like, "Of course you do."
Uh,
So,
So did
I mean, they
they-
were very
The-
friendly about it. They had no idea what the
Yeah,
town
but
code
it's an
said.
in-ground, looks like, and a pool installer company
Didn't get
should
a,
be aware of stuff like that, I would
Yeah.
think.
Did they, since there is on those lots up there, like it's a homeowners association for those lot coverages that they have to review or whatever before it goes to the town? Is that how it works?
No, when it comes to the town, we review it.
Okay,
Yeah, so when we look at every subdivision has its own list, and so when one of these come in, it's in the R120 or R130, but but because it's a subdivision, it has a different set of rules. So we go and check that out, and in this case, it had lot coverage, and so I did the math, and I said, this looks like it's got to be over 20%, and
Yeah,
sure enough, it
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
just eyeballing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, is that something to worry about in the future with other properties? If that's not aware that they need to do that they need to be aware of for other stuff or a
Only in the
continuation?
RLD and in certain subdivisions.
Okay,
The only place we worry about lot coverage.
so I'm guessing this should be denied, for multiple reasons.
I would think so because they're already way over. I mean, giving a 22%, 23% variance on lot coverage is insane.
So it means
So-
they're at 42%.
They're at 42 right now. Yep.
So I have a question. Environmentally speaking, why are we reviewing this particular application?
Lot
Probably for
coverage.
the, is it for the
Is it
variance
got-
you're
because of
covering it up with
coverage?
more hardscape?
Is that
It's
what
probably
it
for
is?
coverage because of runoff and whatnot.
Coverage and runoff and stuff, okay,
Exactly.
all right.
So they've already got a garage, right? That's
Yes.
It
That's
shows
what I'm
two
reading.
on there.
But
on
they
their thing.
supposedly they changed those into rooms.
Okay.
so
Oh,
is
wow.
that another problem?
Yeah, they
Could
have
be
3
if they don't have any
garages.
permits for that, but I went through their file. I didn't see a lot of permits, so
Yeah,
So I'm of the deny mind with this one.
yeah, it's
So
a little
are the
much.
garage spaces being subletted or something, or?
Oh no, nothing like that. I think their family just expanded.
Yeah, that's a weird setup.
Yeah, and to put a garage out in the front there is even more bizarre.
So we'd support a zoning board denial of variance.
Yeah,
Both on lot coverage and the precedent that it would set in
Yeah.
a
yeah,
Yep.
new
lot
development.
coverage and precedent, yeah.
That would look awful in the front of that
I'm
house.
good with that wording, lot coverage and precedent. That's just me though.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you there. So okay. So
Okay.
was there any other comments on this one? And boy, I would suggest they plant some trees. So they have a
Yeah.
completely bare yard.
it's kind of a drab
I think there's
neighborhood.
I think the developer has to put like the trees along the roadway. The developer, I believe, has to put some trees in. Sometimes that's part of the,
I do see there's trees and I see
Yeah.
a different line around the roadway, but
yeah.
like their neighbor here's put trees and shrubs in.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, other neighbors have some landscaping and stuff, yeah.
Yeah. So they're not doing anything to help their coverage at all. So I just
Hmm.
plant some trees, my friends. Mike, how about this one on 3850? Did you have anything to share on that one?
That's a pretty complex setup there.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys look at this one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Jim and I
Scoped it
swung
out
by.
online. I didn't physically, I drive around the corner of it every day coming home, so very
Yeah.
familiar with the property.
Did you
So
guys
there-
want to share?
Yeah, well, they're looking at they're trying to get a variance for the setback again, a 43.5 foot front setback. And they're moving their driveway from emptying into Westlake into Weifels. We're a little confused as exactly where the driveway was going to be entering the property, but we figured it out. There's going to be some significant increase in lot coverage, but I don't think that they would exceed the limit in the RLD is what?
For that size, it should say it right there on the plans, down there in the bottom. Let's see,
Lot
Does
coverage.
is 25% for that size.
Okay.
And yeah, so they're at 17%
Okay.
with what they're proposing, but yeah, moving that driveway and all the work they're doing, that garage that they're just saying, oh, we're just attaching a garage. That garage is enormous, and it's going to be
Huge.
right near. I mean, it's only going to be 16 feet from the road.
Yeah.
So a few of the neighbors came in today doing a FOIL request because they want to see this.
Oh,
Because they were concerned about it, how big it's going to be. But
Yeah.
I mean, as long as they're within, I mean, that's the one variance they need. So,
Right.
Well, I noticed that they're, let me see, let me find.
Sort of like a Cape Cod
Well,
type
I didn't,
house
I
right
guess I
now.
didn't scroll down far enough before. That was my bad. But I know they're taking out like that hedge that's on the one side. Why am I not seeing it? Because there was like trees that ran along this edge of the property. And I believe
Mike,
they're,
was this like gonna have like a camper bay or something in it? Is that why it's so large in the extra turnaround area?
oh, I'm sorry. What'd you say, Justin?
Is this for like, is there a camper bay on the addition? Because there's that extra turnaround area out there that's proposed.
I didn't see that in the application.
Okay.
But yeah, that is a pretty big, the driveway and everything is pretty,
Yeah,
they probably are going to, especially the size of that garage, they're probably gonna put a camper in there.
Okay.
Oh, a camper.
Yeah, so it looks like you would pull into it because there's that extra that looks like it's going off into the lawn there, and then
Okay,
extra space
okay,
to back
okay.
in.
Well, they're
That's
probably gonna need that to pull in and out, to back
Yeah.
out.
Oh, right, okay.
because I would say like, I mean, there's other stuff you can do to that, but I mean, if you'd want that extra room, that would make sense. You would have that
Mm.
going, I guess, to the north there, that extra paved area.
Jim, what were the trees that are going to be sacrificed?
yeah,
There was a cherry tree, like a weeping cherry.
Okay.
I think there was a locust.
Yeah. Okay.
And then there was where they put the driveway in, I think there was some locusts and Norway maples in
Yeah.
there.
All right.
I mean, the only thing by moving the driveway is that there'll be less runoff coming off of that driveway into Westlake Road and
Yeah.
into the lake.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
that's significant.
Yeah.
Just rerouting that.
I didn't
There-
scroll down enough earlier. I guess I
The
was
extra plantings.
dreaming. So what are they planting?
Oh, you talking about that
Yeah.
shrub right there? That shrub line? Are they adding that?
No, they're
taking
taking out what's there because
Oh,
they're
okay, yeah.
basically putting in their driveway and
Yeah.
stuff. I was just
Got a
looking to
couple
see
of-
what they're.
That looks like a
planting.
planting plan. Yeah, they've got
Yeah,
a pretty
that's
good
the landscape
planting
plan.
plan.
Some reasonable stuff they're putting in.
So,
I do like, I hadn't seen this before and I was
there's
missing.
quite a few plants looks like are going
Mhm.
in.
And some native grasses too, it looks like.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's nice that they're putting some stuff in front of the house because it will soften the view from the lake. So that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
They got two new dry wells they're putting in to handle the
I see
runoff
it.
from the giant garage.
Mm-hmm. Right across Weifels Road, once upon a time, we took a look at a fairly sizable addition
Hmm.
right across the street from this house, across Weifels Road. It just kind of reminds me of the layout of that house, but I'm not quite sure how large their lot is. But it's sort of similar to what the folks across the way did. But they've got, see the tennis court and all that, they've got a bigger lot though.
Much bigger lot.
Yeah, and they come off of Westlake, but they did a lot of addition on there. Yeah, much bigger lot. Yeah, anyway.
And there doesn't seem to be other properties along Weifels that have a comparable setback to what these folks are requesting.
No.
It's pretty significantly less than what others have.
So you're saying it's out of the character of the neighborhood?
It is out of the character. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No overt environmental concerns, but adherence to code should be a deciding factor to consider.
Okay. So there is a variance with this one. Are you suggesting?
Yeah, I thought
there's two, there's a site
I
plan.
can't remember
a-
if I
and a
read their
variance.
test questions or not. Oh, yeah, I printed it out, actually, the determination letter.
Questions.
There's the determination letter. It's got several points. Zoning law determination.
Yeah. Well, like you said, Gary, they're saying, oh, this won't produce an undesirable change. It's not going to look like the rest of it. It's going to be
Right.
very large and
Yeah.
a lot of ground's going to be covered in, I think that's still going to cause runoff because it's going to go down Weifels right down to 16.
Yep.
Yeah, it's,
You got all that asphalt. Yeah.
So, so what are we suggesting?
Well, we have to say the things about it that we do like about it. I mean, you gotta give the positives, right?
I do like the planting
I like the
plan.
plantings. I think that's, and taking the driveway away from the County Road 16. I mean,
I think that helps out too. I mean,
and they
I
are
would
putting in
question the
dry
amount of-
wells, right?
Mhm.
How fat is that? Right here.
they are gonna have a concrete walkway down to the road.
Yeah. But they have a little lakefront.
Yeah.
Yeah,
with
they do have a
this.
little piece down there on the
Yeah, a
lake.
little piece of lakefront, yeah,
So this way they can walk across the street, I guess.
probably.
Now, could they arrange that garage so it's actually behind the house?
Yeah, why can't they move it north?
They could. I was just going to suggest that if they move it north, they don't have to worry about a variance, and they can make that the driveway a little thinner
Yeah.
going up, and then just you turn around higher up.
Yeah.
There are ways of getting around that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there is a slope there. They can't go too far, probably don't wanna cut into that slope, then they gotta deal with that.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Cause there is a pretty good slope there where you can see it in the contours,
Yeah,
718 to 723.
Just a very large paved area in front of the garage as well.
Yes.
I mean, that could be shrunk down if they move, like you guys had said. There's any way to move that garage so that they don't require the variance and get a reduction in the hardscape.
And there's the slope, so.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
in the front, yeah,
And the,
Well,
That
hopefully-
helps
but
take
not
out
where
the
they're
driveway.
building.
but not
Are
where
they in
they're
the flood-
building.
Are they in
No.
the floodplain?
No,
Um,
they
Did
shouldn't
she
be.
mention it? Did Kristen mention that?
The floodplain would just be at the lake. I mean, because that's high. That
Oh,
property's
yeah, that's
high.
true because you got that big slope there. You're right.
Yeah,
They're high.
just at the
Oh, yeah.
lake.
It's
Yeah,
not going to affect it.
no.
We're all in trouble if it gets to them.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Mm.
So what I'm hearing is, basically asking them if they can move the garage back in line with the house so they wouldn't need the setback variance and they could possibly reduce the driveway coverage. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I think that should be considered.
Yeah, it looks like that walkway is just gonna be part of the driveway that remains, right?
Yeah.
They'll have to demo part of that to accomplish their lot coverage.
So did I state that correctly from what I was hearing?
Can you repeat that, please?
Sure.
I'm staring at the letter, the zoning determination. I'm sorry, I'm paying attention now.
Nope, that's okay. We're asking if they have considered moving the garage back in line with the house,
Right,
because then they would not require the setback variance, and it would be more in keeping with what we're seeing in the neighborhood.
Okay,
It seems reasonable.
it does seem reasonable.
I think it's good to make a note in there too of the positives we discussed with the plan.
Yeah.
Correct. We
Because they're
did like
definitely
their
making an effort.
Yeah,
we
that
did like the
helps.
planting schedule,
Yeah,
and that they're putting in dry wells, and that we hope that the property owners are updated on the maintenance for the dry wells. I've been trying to make notes of that in our recommendations,
hmm,
so people are aware that these things actually need maintenance, and
you do.
Mhm.
so, okay. I think I got it. It does get difficult sometimes doing up the minutes and putting down what we had talked about. So
Well, you do a great job.
well, thank you. And we covered the solar. Definitely put that on the next agenda. So if you have other questions, comments, whatever you think of it. Hopefully Edith will be there at that one. I'm sure she'll have some questions and comments. I hope that they also share emergency contacts with the neighbors, nearby neighbors, because animals do get out sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think
was
from those fences it will be more difficult, but things
Yeah.
happen.
They'll
Mhm.
end
I-
up in this freezer.
My question was, what did they say they have a shepherd that comes in? I mean, I wonder how that works. I mean, do they live in the area or is it,
Yeah, I was checking out their webpage. Basically, they do. It's like a ownership group or a guy that oversees who comes in with their animals. So it's basically they have somebody that rents out the land to the local whoever
Okay.
is the purveyor of the animals.
Hmm.
Interesting.
One of the things that the Ag Committee had brought up when they had after they had seen the agrivoltaics presentation was you basically are having sheep on the same property for the whole season, and parasite load is an issue, which is why they do rotation of pastures and stuff.
Hmm.
And so you're not actually getting that so much with this sort of mode. So,
Hmm.
well, it's good that they're thinking about that.
well, the egg people were the egg committee
Well,
was.
yeah.
It wasn't so much that these people were talking about it. So,
Oh, right, okay.
Does Tim
So-
Riley still have sheep? I wonder.
he was the one that brought up this.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not sure if he's still raising them.
So I don't believe he still had
Okay.
that much in the way of sheep, but he was well acquainted with sheep
Sure.
keeping,
Yeah.
and so he was bringing up those
Yeah.
that parasite load is a real issue. So, and then it takes like months in between, moving them from pasture to pasture before you can come back to that
Oh.
same pasture.
Wow.
So I don't know how this really works with that, but so
Yeah, it sounded like they had a rotation grazing plan in there if it is the sheep or the chickens and the tractors.
So-
I mean, the bigger concern for me would be the pigs and how they're gonna deal with those things because they just make a mess.
yeah. Yeah.
Sounds
But-
really interesting, though.
If they get
know-
approved, I want to know who I call to say the pigs are at my place.
Yeah.
Well, they got some neat. I found their information on their breeds too, so they're neat little breeds
Yeah.
that they're proposing for out there. So they're like the cute and cuddly pigs.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
It'll be a petting zoo.
yeah, that too. Triple incentivized.
Yeah.
Alrighty, we have Mike. Do you know anything about this one? The
This
Hall-
is a Presby septic system on the lake, like within 500 feet of the lake itself. So it needed site plan approval. I'm not familiar with what the Presby septic is. Do you know anything about that, Kim?
No, that would be Edith.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
I'm pretty clueless on septic systems.
We stopped and talked to the homeowner today. And I guess he's got the 3 tanks on the top and they're gonna be introducing an anaerobic
Yeah,
Oh.
digester.
digester.
Oh,
Yeah.
excellent.
So it'll go from one tank to the other,
Yeah.
and then dump out into the front where they'll have a small leach field to take care of, so it sounds like I mean, they gotta have a septic system. Otherwise,
Yeah.
what they're doing now is having it pumped.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, so they got holding tanks now?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
those 3 holding tanks
yeah.
are there.
Well,
So Mike, question. So if this is like improvement to an existing septic or a replacement, or is it becoming to us because of the distance from the lake?
Absolutely.
Because when you're disturbing to do septic, it's not hard to disturb
No,
500 square
yeah, there's
feet,
all-
you know?
There's over 500 square feet of
Yeah.
disturbance, and it's within 500 feet of the lake. So
So that's
yeah,
why we get to chime in.
exactly.
Okay. Just wondering. We'll probably see more of these as time goes on.
Yeah, because a lot of people on the lake have the holding tanks, and
Yeah,
they're
they
failing.
do.
So
Yeah,
yep.
they do.
Uh,
Yeah.
so one thing I would comment, because this looks like a reasonably small system.
Mhm.
It does.
So there's probably a real limit on the number of people / bedrooms, whatever, for this. It might be a wise idea to have that right on the site plans, that the maximum occupancy that the system can
It
support.
is on the site plan.
It is
Yeah.
on the site plan.
It should
Perfect.
absolutely be there. You're right. Yes,
Yeah, it
because
is. I
is.
read it. It
Yeah,
is there.
'cause,
Yeah.
Perfect.
they have to
Yeah.
give you exactly how many. I mean, it's 1,000 gallons, and it has to. There's a what do you call it? There's a table for septic tanks that the state gives us, and it
Yep.
says this many rooms, this many square feet, this many gallons. So
Mhm.
And it also has a clause in there that if they sell the property, that the next owner has to know all that information.
Okay,
yes,
perfect. Because with the short-term rentals
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
different
Yeah.
things like this, the occupancy is a real
that would be-
concern.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've had
Or
a
if
lot
somebody
of
wants,
issues
yeah,
with we only have 3 bedrooms, and they rent it out to 40 college students, and then the
Right.
septic system is destroyed. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Mm.
so I just wanted I didn't dig through all of the details and stuff, so I just wanted to make sure, because I know those issues have been coming up. There's one in a different application where the septic was a major stalling point, shall we say, for their short-term rental.
Yeah.
So,
And he's got an alarm, they're gonna have an alarm system.
okay,
And there's a hookup for if they have power failure for a generator hookup.
right.
So they can,
That's great.
Good.
and it looks
Well,
like it's the area that the septic leach field's going in is a flat area. It's like a terrace. Cause I thought it sloped all the way down to the lake, but there's actually a terrace there where they're gonna put this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So there's a big tree there that it might impact some of their root system. We talked about that. That might be a problem for that tree at some point, but it might be far enough away, but it's gonna be in the root zone of the tree.
Okay. Well, if it is a problem for that tree and they lose the tree at some point, I really would suggest that they, put a tree someplace else on their property.
Yeah,
So-
well, you probably don't want any more trees near your leach field.
Or shrubs, something,
Yeah, shrubs.
something that isn't,
The tree will probably be fine. It's just, it could impact the tree.
so.
Can the town control Airbnbs or Verbos in residences which are not on the, you know, this town septic system, city septic system? People with,
They
yeah.
they have to have a permit. And Mike, you might know more of the details than I, but they have to have a permit and the septic has to be inspected.
Yes, it has to be inspected. We usually send one of the zoning officers and one of the code enforcement officers to measure all the rooms, make sure that their paperwork is in line with the size of the rooms. And we also have a company that helps us with that. They keep track of all that stuff for us and let us know if anything's being changed. So it's a big process, but we're on top of it and we're getting caught up on most of them.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a real concern.
Yeah.
The short-term rentals, or if somebody does a tear down, rebuild it on this at some other point, you know, they should have an idea of what their septic system can handle. Probably not much more than what they got now, from the sounds of it.
Right.
So, I don't have really too many questions for this, but was there anything else that you wanted to add?
Not me.
Nothing here.
Getting there.
Mhm.
Anna Linda, did you guys?
We did not do
Yeah.
that.
Didn't go by it a second time, but what's changed?
They're moving the house 50 feet.
Greg moved the
Yeah.
house like 60 feet.
According to Anthony, they're moving at 50 feet or something.
Yeah, that's it. It's just a
Yeah.
different location, but they wanted you guys to look it over because of runoff and if it changes anything.
Yeah.
According to Anthony, he said the grading was pretty much the same as the first time.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It is.
I don't have any other comments than whatever we made previously.
Yeah. I mean, previously it was, you know, the degree of disturbance that and it looks like that actually has increased, you know, from 27,000 to 28,000. And at least on Encore, it seems like it's a steep slope area, and it's
Yeah. There's a,
deviates from our rules. So
Yeah, I think also in previous iterations, it was the runoff from those areas and the issues that they've had along Analinda.
yeah.
So just contributing to that with more runoff.
But they didn't need a variance.
No, not for
Mm-mm.
this.
It's an amended site plan
Yeah,
because
that's all it is.
Mhm.
they got their site plan approved and then the
Yep.
next day they said they wanted to move it.
I know. Next day, exactly.
that's pretty risky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, we don't have to go through this again, do we? We're like, yeah, you do.
Yep. So, okay. Anything else for that one?
Nope.
No.
Oh, I didn't want to close my agenda. Dang it. All right. Let's see, newsletter that's coming up next week. And I know Mark sent me his bird bites. Oh, I went to the wrong one. If anybody else has any articles they'd like to still squeak in, I probably can squeak those in if I get them this week.
Well, you got to be careful with copyright issues when you publish. Like, if I found an article that was of interest, do you have to run into copyright issues with some of that stuff?
It probably depends upon what it is. If you write a little blurb that references it, you can do that because that's a fair use of it.
Just do a citation.
Yeah. Every once in a while I come across some interesting stuff.
And if it's just like you want to share some links, I do that sometimes. I'll put in, you know, this is a really interesting article or whatever, and I'll share a link. So
Yeah, that's a
if
good idea.
if you come
Especially if it's
across
like a
things like that, I'm happy to get those too.
Yeah, especially like a YouTube video, was it something that, the Great Lakes something, they were talking about the ash trees, that if you find an ash tree that's healthy, that, you know, that hasn't been treated, they want to know about it because, you know, if we can find some ash trees that are,
Mhm.
resistant, well, then maybe we can bring that back.
Perfect. Yeah, no, I'd be happy to share something like that. So
So I guess, you know, basically if anybody sees an ash tree in their woods or something that looks beautiful and would like to know about it, so to see if they could take seeds from it and maybe it'll be a resistant variety.
Yeah.
nice.
I kind of doubt it, but
Yeah, I've got some that are kind of like youngish, and they're still growing. So I'm like, I don't know. I'll
yeah,
keep an eye on you.
I got some ash trees. I got a lot of ash trees on my property, so.
Yeah. So yeah. So if anybody does find links or videos or things like that they want to share in the newsletter, I do that too. So I'm happy to get
Okay.
those.
Mhm.
Uh, Edith's not here, so we won't talk about the display case, but it is vernal pools right now.
Hmm.
Let's see if anybody has any project stuff that they want to work on. You can pick whatever project you'd like to work on. And
What's going on with our climate smart community initiative? Any follow up?
Sarah believes the information that she has on like the different status, it's actually on a hard copy where she made notes, and she thinks it's probably in the storage right now. So when we move our offices, she'll be able to get to that.
Visit that. Okay.
Mhm.
So I'm sorry for the delay on that, but I think her information will really help us. I think the planning board is also interested in climate smart. So I think we would have a lot of boards and committees that would be interested in
Yeah.
pushing
Good.
some of those things along. So yeah, I think it's exciting, and I think the state is our opportunity to maybe get money to do some good stuff. Um, but did anybody else have anything that they would like to bring up or discuss? I know it's getting late. The solar one ran for quite a while.
I just had one quick question, and I guess
Sure.
it's for Mike. The area across from the town hall where they had the cabin on display, is that all town property? And I guess what is its future use?
Yes, that is town property. And eventually they are planning on building a new courthouse there. And then we are going to absorb the courthouse into the like zoning and planning department and the code department.
Hmm.
Okay.
That's
The
way
reason I
off
was
though.
asking is
I
for
mean,
like, yeah, for like like a native plant display. I know we discussed previously about, you know, swapping out some of the stuff at the current town hall, but I didn't know if we would be able to do like, I guess, a garden area in that area to kind of have a visual and to be able to show display wise, like what we're looking for basically.
we should do that right in front of the front door, actually.
Okay.
So when people come in, they see it right away.
You can go out there and
Yeah.
point to the tag and say, this is what we want.
Yes, exactly.
And,
Put
and,
this
and
stuff up.
construct a rain garden somewhere too.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
I did have a discussion with Jared, I think last year when we were talking about was it a rain garden, display garden, pollinator garden,
Mhm.
something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And he said we wouldn't necessarily have to use our budget to make such a
Okay.
thing happen. Um, but if they're, you know, we're interested in that, to definitely bring it forward And I know Sarah had mentioned maybe putting some of those display gardens in at Outhouse. We're just going to put in Outhouse Park. We're just going to put in
Okay.
some not agri, why can't I think of that? Athletic fields.
Oh,
And so that would be a great place to get a lot of eyes on something.
Ah, yeah.
And
Are we able to have them sponsored, or is that kind of a conflict to have like different landscape companies like Natives to be able to sponsor some of the plants or have them in there?
well, they could definitely donate
in.
things.
Okay.
I believe Doug had talked about that at one time, that, you can donate things to the town, so they probably could donate something and, get a little plaque donated by, I would assume, but I don't know.
mhm.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to get ideas. I know I've been kind of tardy on working on those projects, so like kind of a grander scale thing of actually having visual display instead of handouts and
Yeah,
point online stuff like, here, go look at this list, and
Mhm.
just so they can also see in different stages of the year, so like they understand why it's replacing said species, because the
Yep.
foliage in the fall is, almost or as good as, their firebush or whatever.
Right.
definitely.
Okay, sorry.
Go for it.
No, I think there's also, I know with the projects that you were interested in with like doing some documentation. If you're not, that's fine. I know the planning board was talking about projects recently and they were interested in having something, like more documentation for like plants and trees and
Okay.
shrubs. So they could kind of more automate some of the responses from us. So,
Isn't that like, I guess, overlapped with the tree committee where they
yes.
produce those? So that's why I guess once I realized that was going, I kind of didn't pursue, I guess, that as much because
Yeah.
those were already planned and being submitted. So, would we make the recommendation that they just use those lists, or
I think the tree list
do they already
needed
have it?
some work still. Because
Okay.
when I went down through it, I mean, there was even the saguaro cactus on it. So I think there's some, cleanup and some
Okay.
work that would need to be done with that. And I like what Edith did, because she had like a little picture and then she had some
Yeah.
little write-up about it. And I think that really kind of um, helps make it more alive in people's minds than just a list of names and
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
So, I know the town of or village, I'm not sure which, Victor has quite quite a planting guide in their site design document. I came across that last year and it is quite the thing. Jim Angle from White Oak Nursery was the original creator of that plan.
Okay.
So, um,
That's a good resource.
so it was a good resource, yes. But anyways, yeah. So I think there's some interest in having some documentation, but definitely display is gonna, I think, change more people's minds.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Anything else, or do we all want to go eat supper?
That'd be nice.
I'm a
Time
little
to go to bed.
hypoglycemic. Yeah.
I just need a motion to adjourn if we're done for tonight.
I'll make the motion.
Okay. I'll second.
Second,
Second.
third,
Aye.
fourth, aye.
All of us.
Thank you.
All
Have
in
a good
favor?
evening.
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Cam.
Sorry it
Thanks.
was a longer meeting.
That's all right. That means our town is blooming.
There you go.
It is blooming.
Busy.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
That was an
Be
interesting
well.
one. Some new stuff, so that was good.
Yep.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Night.
Good night.
Good night.